Uccaiḥ... Oh, you haven't got a book, have you? I'll just read the verse. Uccaiḥśravā ashnanam... Ashvanam virimam amritobhavam Airāvatam kajendranam naranam cha naradipam. Word for word. Uccaiḥśravā. Uccaiḥśravā. Ashvanam. Among horses. Vidhi. No. Mam. Me. Amrita udbhavam. Produced from the churning of the ocean. Airāvata. Gaja indranam. Or of lordly elephants. Naranam. Non-human beings. Cha. And Nara Adipam. The king. Of horses know me to be Uccaiḥśravā. Produced during the churning of the ocean of nectar. That's a massive typo. It says... Oh, no, it's not. Sorry, that's not... It's just my error. Okay. Of horses know me to be Uccaiḥśravā. Of horses know me to be Uccaiḥśravā. Produced during the churning of the ocean of nectar. Sorry. Produced during the churning of the ocean for nectar. Of lordly elephants I am Airāvata, and among men I am the monarch. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. The devotee, demigods, and the demons, asuras, once took part in churning the sea. From this churning, nectar and poison were produced, and Lord Shiva drank the poison. From the nectar were produced many entities, of which there was a horse named Uccaiḥśravā. Another animal produced from the nectar was an elephant named Airāvata. Because these two animals were produced from nectar, they have special significance, and they are representatives of Krishna. Among the human beings, the king is a representative of Krishna, because Krishna is the maintainer of the universe, and the kings, who are appointed on account of their godly qualifications, are maintainers of their kingdoms. Kings like Maharaj Yudhishthira, Maharaj Parikshit, and Lord Ram were all highly righteous kings who always thought of the citizens' welfare. In Vedic literature, the king is considered to be the representative of God. In this age, however, with the corruption of the principles of religion, monarchy decayed and is now finally abolished. It is to be understood that in the past, however, people were more happy under righteous kings. So, in this chapter, we're going through the opulences of the Absolute. It's similar to chapter 7, but it's more confidential or more elaborate. An expansion, so to speak. And in this verse, there's, besides that subject that is going on, there is the story of the churning of the ocean of milk. Here it's not specified that it's the ocean of milk, but we know from the Bhagavatam and other Puranas that it's the ocean of milk. And there is the concept of a godly king. This story is a pretty fabulous story with the Bhagavatam. Of course, when you know, if you study the Bhagavatam, you have the whole universal cosmology. It's a massive, fantastic, outrageous universe, very artistically portrayed in the 5th canto and other sections of the Bhagavatam. In this particular story, the demons are basically taking over the whole universe under the direction of Bali Maharaj. He's leading the forces, and they're basically rid the demigods of their post and cast them out as outcasts in the universe. They lost their posts as administrators, and Bali Maharaj is just ruling everything. So they go to Brahma, who I'm pretty sure, they go to Brahma, who goes to Vishnu, the usual storyline, how they get out of their situations. Because they are devotees, they go to Krishna. They're considered neophyte devotees because they only go to Krishna when they're distressed. Not only, but, mostly. They do worship Krishna, but they really just, they come to him in distress. We see in the Gita, it says 4 kinds of neophyte devotees: those who go to Krishna in distress, or for some material gain, for some curiosity, or for the absolute truth. And these are the neophytes in distress. So they go, and Vishnu reassures them that they should make a truce with the demons. Kind of like a semi-truce, just a little bit of whimsical truce, and they make a plan to churn this ocean to get nectar. And it's an elaborate, very painful plan. My realization from that whole saga is don't over-endeavour for material pleasure. That's what it really sounds like. Like, they start, and I think they have to get under a mountain, which is a mountain. Obviously, it's very heavy. All the demons and demigods are carrying it. You can imagine, when you see a bunch of men really trying to, they have to move something. I don't know, you get in the construction yard, sometimes something really heavy, and everyone comes together, and one of the guys, busts his back or bursts a hernia or something. This mountain was so heavy that these great celestial beings were dying, trying to carry it. And finally Vishnu had to carry it for them. So Vishnu had to help throughout the whole thing. And then they put it in the ocean of milk, ready to churn, and it just starts sinking. And they're so distraught. They're just literally dying to bring this mountain to this ocean. And obviously you put a mountain in the ocean, what's it going to do? It's going to sink. So then Kurma has to come underneath and hold the mountain there, and then they start to churn. And Vishnu and demigods, they grab the head of, they get Vasuki. They bribe him. Okay, you help us churn, you get some nectar also. This nectar that they're going to churn, what they're mainly after is the elixir of life, as many ancient tales tell of, all this mythology about the elixir of life. Mark? Yeah, the nectar of immortality. And by immortality we mean limited immortality. According to the Bhagavad, it means you live a day of Brahma. It's not that you live forever and eternity. But for us in this material world, that's as forever as you get in the material. Yeah, something really long. A long period of time. So it's not even full immortality, but regardless, it makes you very powerful, and so they desire to capture this nectar. So Vasuki, he's the king of the nagas and the snakes and all these hooded serpents with jewels on their heads, and he agrees to join in. He agrees to be the churning rope. So the demons are on one end, demigods on another end. Obviously not pals; they're in a truce. So Vishnu is there again. He's already brought the mountain there. He's holding it up as Kurma, so it doesn't sink. And then he's going to help them start to churn it. And they start to churn. Well, no, they don't, because the demons get fried because they say, we are superior to these demigods. We should not get the bottom end of this snake where the stool comes out. We want the head. And Vishnu says, demigods? He's just totally coaching them along through this whole horrific experience that they have to go through. They're completely humiliated. He says, no problem, just go along. They swap. And they start, and even though Vishnu's there, they're already exhausted and they're just, running out of strength. Vasuki breathes fire, which is Vishnu's plan. Now the demons have got the head and they're all burning and screaming and crying. He's getting fire and acid and flames and God knows what. And the demigods are all, still exhausted, but at least they're not burning alive. And then it says in the story that actually Vishnu as a super soul then has to go and by the 3 modes of material nature he inspires each of these living entities. Demigods with the mode of goodness, demons with the mode of passion, and Vasuki because he's a snake with the mode of ignorance. And then they get more energy and they keep going. And still they're exhausted. And Vishnu has to just take Vasuki by himself. They have to sit on the side. They're completely exhausted. He even gave them additional energy, and he has to do it himself. And then, of course, when they churn it, the first thing that comes is poison. And it's just like godforsaken poison, and they're distraught. They're just completely, they died carrying this mountain, then it sinks, then they can't churn the thing, and now poisons come out. So there's like constant material endeavour, you just want this one prize, and all these things are coming up. And anyway, so they have to ask Shiva to drink the poison, and then he becomes Nalakanta and blue-throated. And then finally the poison has come, and then this is when, before the nectar comes, these guys come. You have this really hard to pronounce horse's name, Uccaiḥśravā, and the king of the elephants, Airāvata. He came with a bunch of elephants. These elephants are so powerful that they literally hold up the mountainous range that surrounds the universe. There's 4 of them, additional ones that came out, and I don't know how many more came out. But the king of these, he's Airāvata. He doesn't partake in holding the universe up, but he's even more powerful. So Indra took this elephant, and as far as I know, Bali Maharaj took the horse, because it's like a truce. They're each picking. Lakshmi came out of the ocean, and she picked from all these suitors Vishnu, obviously, because no one else was worthy. And then finally Dhanvantari came out with the nectar, and then the elaborate story goes on. The demons steal the nectar, because I think it's explained because Dhanvantari is like partial expansion of a partial expansion. Therefore, you could be tricked, something like this. And they steal the nectar, and they're fighting over it. They're killing each other. And then Mohini Murti has to come pacify them. It's just like a constant battle. And then she just deceives the demons. And this is the whole plan of Vishnu all along, that the demigods would get the nectar so they could reinstate themselves in the kingdom, and the demons would be abolished. So this is what happens. And the demigods are getting it, and everyone else is completely enamored by Mohini Murti's womanly beauty. And she's just, like little sweet glances and winks, and they're just pacified, except for Rahu. He was a little bit smarter, or maybe just really, really hungry for this nectar, and he sneaks over with the demigods between the sun and the moon, and he gets it. But as he gets it, he gets dobbed in. They say, no, this is an imposter. Mohini Murti chops his head off. His head is immortal as Rahu, this impossible planet that eclipses the sun and the moon, because they dobbed him in, they got him in trouble, they reported him to the police. And then the battle starts again. They start fighting, and Bali Maharaj is slain. Actually, Shukracharya brings him back to life after this for the famous Farmanadev episode. But the demons are just drove out. So anyway, for me, it's a wonderful story. It's like a beautiful story. Even in Bali now, interestingly, Bali Maharaj, the country of Bali, they have these really amazing interpretations of this. It's not just in India. You can see that the Vedic culture was spread out. The Ramayana and this pastime are very popular, and it's very beautiful. Obviously, if you don't have faith in the Bhagavad, or even if you have some faith, it's quite amazing. So not everyone really takes it so literally, but it's quite plausible with this philosophy. And that's the first half of the purport. I just had to quickly brush through that story because I love it so much, and I think it's in the 7th canto, Madhu? Of the churning of the ocean of milk. One side point. 7th canto. Yeah, it's like 6th, 7th, or 8th. It's knee deep in the Bhagavatam. It's after but regardless, there's one funny story about that I wanted to share. A little controversial little thing for those present, physically and digitally. Hari Sauri Prabhu, I have these lectures on his kirtan standards, and within that he sidetracks onto one pastime he has with Srila Prabhupada. We're not going to go into the editorial debate, but this is an editorial issue. Hari Sauri is reading Prabhupada's books, and he says, "Prabhupada, I think you've made a mistake." Prabhupada, Uccaiḥśravā, I made a mistake. Prabhupada was totally fine with it. He said, he was proud that he noticed that perhaps there was some discrepancy, and he said, what mistake? And he said in the purport to this battle that was after the churning of the ocean of milk that I was telling, it explains that the bloodshed was so severe, the blood shot up and it hit the sun, or went as high as the sun. And in the purport, Prabhupada said, just see, this proves that the sun is closer than the moon. Just see these mad scientists. Which would be so if it was in the ocean of milk in Bhumandal, but according to the story, it's in the ocean of milk where Vishnu in Svetadvip. Well, this is what Hari Sori says to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada laughs. He says, I just wanted to smash the scientists. Like, he basically kind of forgot the context, and he was just so concerned on smashing the scientists for their bogus philosophy that he wrote it in there. And they removed it. He told them to remove it. So while he was leaving this editorial, this little bit of editing was done and it was taken out. But it's quite humorous. Mark? Mm-hmm. I always wonder that. But I know Malaysia is named after the fact that it's a place of sandalwood trees. You see that in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Prabhupada specifically mentions that. So I don't know if you'd have to look up when the name comes, according to history, and then you'll have to wonder if the history is correct, because I know linguistic history, they won't ever admit that anything comes from Sanskrit, so they have some alternative history for a lot of words. So, but 8th canto, yeah, I was close. I knew it was 7 or 8. I was like, it's 7th Pillai Maharaj and then this. Yeah, so it's deep in the Bhagavatam. It's a great story. And the second subject of this very short purport, which I love, is filled with so much nectar, is about a king who represents God, like King James. Protestant Revolution. Monarchy was considered a representative of God. He was a very great person, and he maintained the kingdom, like Vishnu maintains the universe. And he would have to be high in moral caliber and set an example for everyone to follow. You'd have to encourage religious practices, all these things. And the people that are given an example here are Yudhishthira and his great nephew, Parikshit Maharaj, and Ram, obviously God. So these are these very moral kings that you hear about. These are like some of the greatest kings that ever were. I mean, one of them is God. But Prabhupada is pointing out that at one point people were happy to be living under a king. You hear these stories of medieval times and all this oppression of the peasants and all these things. But no, there was a time where this system was appropriate and preferred. Excuse me. And I wouldn't even say that it's not preferred now. It's been abolished by other sources of government now. But yeah, you see the French Revolution, the people under the king were protesting that they were living lavishly and not looking after their subjects, and they executed them. There was an uprisal. One devotee talked to Prabhupada, and he compared. Prabhupada thought it was nice. He compared the Protestant Revolution, where King James he created his own church. This was like the decline in the medieval system against the Brahmins. The Brahmins were taking charity. They were accepting lots of land, but they were not giving in charity. They were hoarding masses of wealth, so much so that they were making the kings jealous, and there was lots of political upheaval and tension between royalty and the church, because the church was just becoming its own empire, and the Pope literally had rule, because all of the countries were Christian, so he was kind of like a monarch. So yeah, the religion was rejected. The Brahmins were rejected, And then comes the French Revolution, which is rejection of the Kshatriyas, because they're not using their wealth to look after the peasants. They're just keeping their money and they're living lavishly and not doing their service. And then, of course, the Communist Revolution is rebellion against the Vaishyas because they're exploiting the workers. And then what you have is Ekavarna, one Varna, outcast. You have no system of Varnashram left. So it's the king's job to uphold this Varnashram and obviously to maintain the citizens. Do you know what this Adipam means? Adipam? It's Nara Adipam. The king. It means the king, but I'm wondering. I forget what Adi means. It's like origin or something? The one? Like the head, basically. Anyway, it's like the head of the... The cause of people. So he's like the causal person, or the... Yeah, so this is the name for the king, but he's center. He should be forefront. Now we have all these politicians. Yeah, Adipam, yeah. Anyway, Sanskrit course for someone, some Sanskrit scholars. But regardless, this king is he's the example of everyone. And now we have these politicians who are... Prabhupada smashes the government. He just tears them up. You have to be careful. I mean, it's amazing that lots of governments haven't gone through our purports and went, "Oh, this is an anti-establishment movement." You know, we've been accused of being a dangerous sect before, but Prabhupada is very heavy on the government. I mean, it's popular to do that these days. No one really cares. It's kind of cool. You can just rag it on the government. Maybe since the alternative culture, no one really cares because you're not going to do anything about it. But Prabhupada was furious about these so-called leaders of society who just encourage this breaking of the four regulative principles by their example and by their policies. And he even at one point made the devotees were running for parliament in the God We Trust party they had, but then Prabhupada called it off. He said it wouldn't work. But we need to rectify this situation. At that point, Prabhupada was letting the devotees become leaders, but at other times you hear him say that the leaders should see that we're doing such good work that they will come to the devotees for advice. Like Brahmins, they have the king has Brahmins in the courts. So it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to, run Belgium and have that difficult service. We can just give advice. We can, he says, we have a lot of money and we need to give it to the farming community. What should we do? And you say, cow protection, industry of cruelty-free milk and pure milk, things like this. Or, there's so many services that we can have in this way. And then those who are not Brahminical by nature within our society can help within a Varnashram model to exemplify a Varnashram system to the outside world, and thus they're as good as Brahmins. Their Vaishnavas are better than Brahmins, but you can see it in practice because they are teaching the philosophy by their practice. Whether they have the knowledge of the four Vedas and are intelligent in linguistics and all these things, or whether they know the ultimate truth, they know the essential points that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and He's personal being that we can have a relationship with. They offer all their work in service of Him, whether it's Shudra, Vaishya, Kshatriya or Brahmin, and therefore they're all better than Brahmins, because even Brahmins can be impersonalists and Mayavadis and all these bogus things. But this is what the king is for. He's to ensure this happens. But right now we don't have a king, so we make do with what we have. But maybe we'll have a king in Manipur. The royalty is Vaishnavas, so it's a Vaishnava state. Mickey Mouse kings, yeah, we have show model kings. But you see, it's interesting because I watched the Queen's Jubilee celebration when I was leaving to Australia. It was on, they still have some showbottle power. They have some influence. What to speak of if they actually still had their governmental posts? So people are looking up, and Krishna says it in the Gita. What great men do, come and follow. So it's really good preaching if we can affect these people. Prabhupada was, obviously the Gaudiya Math, when they first came to England before Prabhupada came, they only addressed these upper class people. And Prabhupada, he went like Nityananda style right to the Bowery in New York, and he rose up. But Prabhupada was always interested in affecting these high people. He was writing to the Prime Minister of India when he was in India. He was writing to Gandhi. He was always trying to meet with these professors. Excuse me. Because these are the people we have to become allies with and or impress. Because these are great allies. You see, Radhanath Swami is doing this a lot now. He's making friends with celebrities. All our gurus, they go around and they do this. You make friends with big people, and big people make big change and start changing people into devotees. That's the best welfare work we can be doing. All these great people, all these famous celebrities, they're looking, where can I throw my money so I look like a good person? If we were established well enough, people would donate millions of dollars to the Hare Krishna movement. I remember someone saying like, how did it go? I think it was Prabhupada was, regardless, it's an interesting concept, talking about, how come Krishna hasn't given ISKCON the world? And it's like, look what we have so far, look how badly we're managing it, materially speaking, If we're capable, Krishna will give us the whole world, if we're capable of managing it. So we have to kind of, push this movement to expert quality. So these materialists, they listen to us and listen to our Krishna conscious message, and they become benefited. Because we don't have to turn this whole world into sages in the forest. We can simply get them to do their Krishna conscious work wherever they may be and whatever they may be. Obviously we could close down some slaughterhouses in the process, but regardless, everyone will have something to do. So I'll read the verse again, and I'll struggle with the name, but I'll read it regardless, and then I'll ask for questions and comments. Of horses know me to be Uccaiḥśravā, produced during the churning of the ocean for nectar. Of lordly elephants I am Airāvata, and among men I am the monarch. Narādipi. Questions, comments? Questions, comments, chastisements, Sanskrit, grammatical. About the blood and the moon and the sun. So in this pastime where they're churning the ocean of milk, afterwards when they get in the fight again over the nectar, there is a big fat bloody battle, and there's all sorts of crazy things go on, and blood shoots up as high as the sun, as far as the sun, it says. So apparently when this happened at in Sveitadvip, which is up and away, so it shot all the way to the sun. But some people believe this happened down on Bhumandal in the milk ocean in the 7 layers. Those who know Vedic cosmology from the 5th canto, we're in the center of Mount Meru, and it's like this big 7 islands in rings like donuts, and the oceans get bigger, and there's ocean of salt water, that's where we are, we recognize that, and the milk ocean. Some people think it was done there. If it's done there, then Prabhupada's purport was correct, and the editorial suggestion was wrong, but Prabhupada, he told them to change it, because if it was at Sveitadvip, then it didn't prove the scientists were wrong, that the moon was closer than the sun. Because Prabhupada was saying, look, the blood goes all the way to the sun. He said this is showing that Sveitadvip is where Kshirodakashayi Vishnu lives, up high. It's like a spiritual planet in the material universe. It's like Dhruvaloka. It's somewhere near there. It's up. It's high up. So yeah, it's like, where is the sun? So So, and Prabhupada's saying because it's talking about the sun, so it's saying it went to the sun. It would have said past the sun and to other planets otherwise. So he's saying, look, saying it's high as the sun, therefore the sun is closer than the moon. But if it happened in Svetadweep, then that's But then if it happened in Svetadweep, why would it say it's high up as the sun? So perhaps anyway. So it was like Prabhupada made it. His spirit was, I just wanted to smash the scientists. He may have forgot the context, or maybe they didn't do their, at that moment when they changed it, they didn't do their research. But these things are stuff that we should chase up, because when people, obviously the man on the street's not going to go up to you and go, I heard Prabhupada said something about the blood and the moon and the sun and that. No, but these things we should know in our society. The outside world have their scientists and academics, and we should have our scientists and academics, our Jnana Bhaktas, sourcing this stuff out and having good answers, so we don't look like we don't know our stuff. Don't look like foolish people. Mark. Yep. Some lashes. Yeah. Well, that's going to be one big thing is changing. Someone was telling me in India they have this system. They have self-sufficient communities, obviously, for all of eternity. And they have these villages. They can take 5 men. They can start a self-sufficient village that lasts until the modern age destroys it. But you can get 100 people in the Western world, and they can't even start one that lasts for very long. We've got very bad training on how to look after a self-sufficient community. But we do need Vaishyas. Prabhupada would emphasize in certain points that there would be no problem of employment if we had these farming communities. If you need to work, you go to the farming community, you have a job. The Vaishya in charge of the project gives you some land, temple president, whatever he is, and you manage that land, and you give some projects you keep some for your family, whatever, and you donate to the project. There's always work. There's always land. If you work at land properly, it produces more than you need. He says we can work for 2 months of the year, and then we can just spend the rest of the time chanting Hare Krishna. That's an idealistic way. Obviously, if you live in some pretty horrific places, it won't work. But but in saying that, in our community in New Govardhan in Australia, we have a temple president who's very good at making money from Krishna conscious projects. We have prasadam distribution, makes most of our money, and then we invest some money in cow protection. We have cow's milk, like here. We have a few more cows, but the same. And then organic farming, you have the woofers come here, all these different government programs, and we get all these random bhaktas. So we have that, but it was started officially years ago, and unofficially even years before then. So now we have a village of these people. And what they're they're pious Shudras almost. They're all these alternative people. So they're filthy, dirty hippies in one sense, but they're completely interested in spiritual life, or otherwise they're just interested in serving some alternative cause, or otherwise they just want someone to eat and sleep and other things. But they're like Shudras. They're kind of basic, but some progress, and otherwise they do all our work, and they're unpaid, and they're not complaining. So it's possible, but they are young. So Marty, you had a point, but he's also got a second question. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The good thing, Well, yeah, some of them are. But no, well, they're very pious. If you see, like, if you meet some that we have, like, some are very much like that. They're just coming here because they're alternative. But we have them, some stay for months. And they stay. And there's an option that you can, like, we're going to make a halfway house now, though, but they stay woofers because they want to be woofers. But some of them, not saying that not all of these become devotees, but they don't become brahmacharis and practice, and fully practicing devotees. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, some of these woofers, like I said, some of them are, and it's good we have these because these programs are great. You discover your shudras and your other and your brahmins at the same time. They all come through the same venue, and you filter them. It's like a free run ashram system. But just really quick on that one point you made in regards to vaishyas, you don't need so many vaishyas because a good vaishya, he manages everything, no problem. We think vaishya is someone who makes, runs a TV repair company, but it's someone who could run a whole business enterprise. Real entrepreneurs, someone who golden hands. Dronacharya was a Brahmin and he became a Kshatriya kind of. Yeah, you have, it's interesting, you have like Brahmins and then you have like Brahmins, like the ultimate Brahmin, like you say, he knows everything. And then you have like Brahmins who, they know their stuff, but they may not, like selective Brahmins. So I think there will always, you'll see it when, like it says in the Gita, whether you're expert or not, you do the duty that's good for you, So, oh yeah, yeah. Well, that's the thing, because it's someone who had he had Brahminical nature, and also he has some Vaishya nature naturally, but he had Brahminical nature because he wanted to do something for Krishna, and then he made these things happen. And he also, because we follow Srila Prabhupada's instructions, he said prasadam and kirtan. He said Australians are idiots. And we started disputing prasadam, and it all worked. Your question. Sorry for the delay. Mm-hmm. I know that a few drops fell and made the scorpions and the spiders have venom. I've heard another story that there was a sacrifice, a ghoul sacrifice of cow, and one Brahmini wanted to taste the meat, and she tried to, and then the priest did the mantras, and all the meat started to fly into the sacrifice like it was supposed to, and she cupped it up and tried to stop it and buried it in the garden. And then it grew onion and garlic. I've heard different stories. Some of the Narayan devotees describe a story that there was some cow was killed and the bones were carrots. And I've heard a lot, but regardless, it's not healthy. It affects your motor skills. If you fly planes, it reduces your reaction speed. Regardless of where it comes from. I'm talking about onion and garlic. Regardless of where it comes from, it has possibly some medicinal purposes, definitely, but it's not good for you. I don't know because. Yeah, because I don't know what's in an aspirin. God knows what. It could be like so many things. It really depends. Yeah, it depends because these kind of stories you hear here and there, you have to get it verified, and then you'd have to understand the practicality. It'd be interesting to see if Prabhupada said anything about it. He was a chemist, but Vani quotes anything on that? No, on medicinal purposes for onions and garlic. But he might not have said anything that was recorded. But Yeah, it depends. I don't know. You just pray to Krishna to reveal reveal it to you, and you go about what you need to do. You know. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Garlic's like an antibiotic, and I think it's probably better than an antibiotic because it probably won't wreck you as bad. Yeah. Well, they don't make pesto in the temple too often, so yeah, yeah, it depends. Stuff like that, it's like time, place, and circumstance. Consult your Guru Maharaj. Consult your Guru Maharaj. He would know. He would know where to go on Airāvata and this and that. He might have something better than onion and garlic, regardless. Anyway, we finish up for the Bhajan crew. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki.